Welcome Dr. Brandon with his speech titled
Leadership Styles.
Leadership Styles with Brandon Beeman. Brandon Beeman, Leadership Styles. Oh.
Yay!
There we go. Sorry about that.
Oh, it's all right. We got it.
All right. Good evening, everyone. It was cathartic to really get through this presentation, or at least get through this outline, because it required me to put a microscope on myself, because I had to do a questionnaire. And I found some pretty surprising results, given that I was a college instructor, personal trainer, and mentor over the last several years. But before I really get into the nitty-gritty of it, I'm going to make this statement. Leadership styles or leadership roles, there are 8 of them, or at least there are 8 as listed on the Toastmasters website or through the modules that I had to complete. They're not super rigid, and this is why I have the challenges of outlining this speech, because I noticed over the years, leadership can be very fluid, and I did not realize this until I had taken those modules. And what I mean by that, I'm going to further explain and elaborate. Now, this is slide 1, or at least part 1 of the first 4 leadership styles as labeled by Toastmasters. Now, I'm not going to read through each of this, so I'll make this very bold and broad so that way you can read it for yourselves as I continue to speak. While I was taking the questionnaire, I had a set result in my mind of what kind of leader I am. That was my ignorance. That's one of the many challenges I'm trying to approach. Getting over my own ignorance and getting outside of my box and my comfort zone. Part 2, this is the second half of the remaining 8. And there are some roles here that I would like to work on, and I'm pretty sure that many of you would like to work on. Now, these are my results. I have them outlined here. I was not too satisfied with my number 1, not to get too political or anything like that. I hope you taking a snapshot of the definition of democratic. I'm not too fond of the democratic style, but that was my number 1. I was like, what gives? But as it turns out, as I was taking the survey, I like to give people options and choices and split and divide things and make sure that everyone has a say in the project or whatever objective we are working on as a group. So that's a positive thing, but I never considered myself to be democratic in that sense. I would always expect, well, I was expecting innovative to be number 1, but it ended up being number 2. So I was like, okay, that makes some sense. And then number 4, authoritative. I personally thought that was a sweet spot because it was dead in the middle. I'm not authoritative to the point of being a bureaucrat, but I'm authoritative to the point where I can get things done and have a structure. And I'm going to discuss more of the bureaucratic, or at least my not so great experience with people who have that bureaucratic style. And speaking on bureaucracy and bureaucratic ways of leadership, it wasn't at the bottom, which also bothered me. And that just goes to show that when you're taking surveys like this and doing self-reflection and observing how you impact other people, that survey really makes you look at yourself and consider, like, maybe you're not as good or as bad as you once thought you were. What I have been doing and how it affected myself and others. So I'm going to tie these two together. What I've been doing has been a democratic approach, even though I wasn't fully aware of it. And and that's another take I need to throw on that. The democratic approach, from what I've been doing it over the years, I would study the material and become an expert for that moment. However, the different groups that I've worked with over the years, I'm going to be blunt with you. I wing it a lot of times. That's just my style. I have a very unorthodox, democratic style of leading, teaching, lecturing, and guiding, which plays into my number 2, if you remember from the previous slides, the innovative aspect of my leadership style. Pushing forward. In my teaching, whenever I'm working with students and mentees, I would always take the authoritative role and just say, okay, here's the syllabi, here's everything that's outlined to you. However, you have options. That's the democratic end. And based on how my students generally select our options, and that ties into personal training too, I innovate a strategic plan to try to accommodate everyone in the space. Now this bottom one, I don't want to get too dark because I am at UAB and this is a research institution. I was a victim of bureaucrats. Victim may be a strong word. Let's just say that they gave me a hard time from time to time, and I gave them a hard time from time to time because I'm an innovative thinker and they are bureaucrats and they're like, no, these are the rules, this is the way we're going to do this. It was a little bit of head bumping, but again, that's something that I am working on, and I'm pretty sure that's something that they are working on. At least I hope they are working on. What I mean by that I was a victim of the bureaucrats is because I don't like being confined to a box. I'm not a defiant person. It's just that whenever I get these ideas, rules and structures had to be in place to kind of put me back in alignment, which would also make it safer for me to be a more innovative person. Moving forward, I would like to work on my authoritative style, taking charge. I would like to work on my coaching, so that way I can better guide people. And altruistic, I want to consider people's perspectives to better accommodate them. Just a way, something that I've been doing, so that way I can continue to be a more effective leader in the future. I'm Dr. Brandon Dean, and thank you all for listening to me. Y'all have a good day.